Welcome to my presentation on John Goodlad. Here's a picture of John Goodlad in the late 80s. Here's his biography. John Goodlad was born August 19th, 1920 in North Vancouver, British Columbia. He began his teaching career in a single-room schoolhouse with 34 children from grades 1 through 8. His experiences in that room helped inform his educational ideologies. Here's a quote from his son, Stephen Goodlad, on that experience. He could see that the kids were really great at helping other kids learn across the grade levels, and he saw that just because you were at a certain age or grade level didn't mean you were functioning at a certain level. What he saw there showed him that we had a system that didn't make much sense. Some more about John's work. He authored more than 30 books on education, was dean of the Graduate School of Education at UCLA, and won many awards such as the Harold T. McGraw Prize in Education. Probably his biggest accomplishment was A Place Called School. It was published in 1984 and reported the results of studies that involved over 17,000 students. Came at a time when major reports described education as an exercise in mediocrity. More on A Place Called School in the next section. His death was in November 29th, 2014 in Seattle, Washington. And here's just a video about John Goodlad, his life in more detail. Here's some contributions of John Goodlad. A Place Called School. Some of the findings that he found were that individuals and small group instruction was rare. Emphasis was on classroom order or behavior and not on what was actually being learned. Teachers did not want excitement. They rewarded silence and order over being excited about a subject. Students found answers to questions, and then they lacked the focus on any actual content. They paid attention to what would get them the grade, but didn't actually learn much other than that. Students rarely reflected, solved issues, hypothesized, or thought creatively, and smart students were rarely popular. Some institutions that Goodlad founded were the National Network for Educational Renewal, which was created to promote collaboration between schools and teacher training institutions. He believed greatly in teachers being educated just as much as the students, and that accomplished teachers should take an educational role to other teachers so that other teachers could learn from them. And he also founded the Institute for Educational Inquiry, devoted to strengthening the role of education and maintaining democracy. He believed that school should be a cultural identity or entity. A quote from John Goodlad: "We address teacher education reform. We address curricular reform. We address teaching reform. We address restructuring, but we rarely address the school as a total entity. We don't prepare teachers for school, but for classrooms." And then renewal versus reform. He believed that successful reform was based on compelling agenda that needed to buy into. Long-term commitment to program changes is a necessity and shouldn't hinge on one or two key people. Basically, that most schools reform every several years. They lack clear focus and an overall agenda for how to do better, and they just kind of switch around between programs. Here's a video from a colleague after John Goodlad had passed, just talking a little bit more about some of the things that he added to education. Foundations. He's a progressive humanist. He consistently opposed the behavior successes of the 1970s. This is why he's progressive. Accomplished teachers should have opportunities to educate their own peers. Students shouldn't be grouped by age. And being able to discuss, assess, and reflect is more important than rote memorization for students. A quote from Jeannie Oakes: "John's most powerful teaching was that school is a moral enterprise, not just a matter of getting the right techniques and organizational structure. There has to be an understanding that school is central to our democracy, that teachers are responsible not only for the academic development of their students, but their social development and their development as citizens." Why humanist? From him himself. "We have too little faith in man's ability to find worthy interests and, self-propelled by these interests, to do good work in the absence of coercion." And another quote: "The product of humanistic schooling perceives himself as valuable, but is not narcissistic in this perception. He identifies with mankind, all mankind." Here are the resources that I used for this presentation, and thank you.